Hi, I'm Dr. Gaby Cora, and today I'm going to be discussing with you, how does stress affect me? Well, a few years back, I was invited to Fox News and I said, stress is the buzzword of the 21st century. And what I meant by this is that we're all struggling with increases in stress levels all the time. So it's not only affecting adults, but kids as well. We're very used to hearing even a young child coming back from school and going like, I had such a stressful day today. Unfortunately, this is not uncommon, and it's becoming more pervasive and more prevalent in our society. So what happens with this stress cycle? Well, what happens is we're usually kind of waking up in the day and we're already thinking about all the things that we have to do during the day. So that stress is carried along during our wake hours. So our waking hours are usually dealing with more and more things on a regular basis. Now, what happens with all of this? Well, if I am stressed out during the day, I'm going to be carrying over that stress to my night, and it is going to affect my sleep. And this is one of the main reasons why many people in my practice come in to say, and say, you know, I don't know why I can't sleep well at night. And as soon as I ask them about their stress levels during the day, they're like, of course I'm stressed out. And I'm like, well, if you're stressed out during the course of the day, it's going to be very difficult to leave that stress aside and to be able to just relax and go to bed. So it's going to be extremely important for us to try to control that stress level during the day so that we can have a better sleep at night. Now, what happens with stress and how does this affect our body? How does it affect our health? Well, stress affects us from head to toes. And how does this happen? Well, it can make our headaches worse. We can have a worsening of our migraine headaches as well. Our pain, the way that we experience pain may be worse as well. How else does it affect us? Well, any kind of anxiety or depression could be also worsened by stress. Our endocrine system can be affected by stress. So if we have thyroid issues, those may get worse during extreme times of stress. Same thing with diabetes. Anytime that someone with diabetes is going through a lot of stress, well, that may make their needs for insulin or medication for the diabetes need to change during those times as well. Now, stress also affects our immune system. So people may be more prone to infections or cancer. So this is one other reason why it's so important for us to try to manage that. Let's go to the heart. Well, what happens in the heart? So when many people are stressed out, they can have an increase in their heart symptoms. So how does that show up? Well, people may have tachycardia or heart arrhythmias. They can also have heart pain in the form of angina, and they can also have more heart attacks during extremely stressful times. Now, sometimes stress can be good. So we could have like a very emotional event happening. Let's say that our kids are getting married. We may be very happy about that, but that may be a stressful event anyways. Now, some other times that stress may not be so good, and it may be either more work or tougher challenges that we may be experiencing, and those are going to affect us as well. Now, how about the pulmonary system? Well, we may have a worsening of our asthma attacks during times of stress as well. Now, GI symptoms. Some people may have worsening of their ulcer or peptic disease. Other people may have more colitis. Other people may have irritable bowel syndrome. If people have Crohn's disease or more problems with the colon in general, let's say ulcerative colitis, those disease states could become worse during times of extreme stress as well. So those are things for us to consider as well. Now, what else? So we have the whole gamut really from head to toes that could be affected by stress. Now, what is stress? Well, we all know that through a stressor, through an event, a life event, there could be a trigger for that experience of stress overall. And in general, it would be beautiful if we were just faced with one stressor at a time. But chances are there's more of a chronic stress. We're having increasing demands in our society, and this is a bit of what's happening. Now, in general, many of us could go through some periodic stress, which would mean deadlines at work, for example, given every quarter, or for example, entering a final exam season where we know that something's up and coming, but that doesn't mean that we're well prepared for the test, right? So we could have a little bit of the stress being periodic. It could be occasional, so sometimes we may have more stressful events than at other times. So sometimes there could be increased stress as compared to other times. But what I've usually seen in my practice, both as a psychiatrist as well as a coach, as an executive coach, is that most people who are really very busy with a lot of responsibility see this stressful time being more cumulative. So you have a little bit of stress, but then as you take more with less, you have really more responsibilities on your plate rather than the other way around. Now, what's the correlation? What's the relationship between stress and well-being? Well, a little bit of stress is really good for us. That is what allows us to, strive to do better. That challenges us to really go into the next level when we are telling ourselves, I want to prove myself here, or I want to really try to go max my game here as well. So a little bit of stress is really good for us. But if there's a lot of stress, chances are we're going to start to experience tiredness. We can even get to be burned out. We could be definitely exhausted, or we could even get ill or be within that disease state. And what I've seen in my practice is that many people who are saying that they're burnt out, they're actually already experiencing many of the medical issues that I just showed you earlier. Now, what happens if that stress is manageable? Well, then hopefully you're going to experience more of that well-being. So a little bit of stress could be beneficial, motivating, energizing, and even inspiring. So hopefully a little bit of stress, in your life will be inspiring, and that's the conversation. This is the chat of today. I'm Dr. Gaby Cora, guiding leaders to enjoy success and well-being. Thanks for joining me.